Alright, so we're going to look at another example from this section. This should look like a 3. There we go. Okay, so this time we do not have common denominators. So we've got to fix that. Alright, and the way we do that is we're going to look at each part of the denominator individually and ask ourselves, okay, what would we need to multiply each fraction by in order to have a common denominator? Okay, so if we look at the 7 and the 14, obviously if we multiply this 7 times 2, then we would have a 14 over here and over here. So I'm going to do that, but you have to remember that whatever you do to the denominator of one part of your fraction, you also have to do to the numerator. That is key for this section. Okay, I like to think that this section isn't too complicated as long as you remember that very simple rule. Okay, so now we're going to move on to this p3 and p to the third and this p to the fourth. All right, so we're looking at which one has the higher exponent in this case, and in this case it's this one over here, this p to the fourth. So we want this p to the third to match this p to the fourth, and how do we do that? Well, we would multiply by another p, because p times p to the third would give us p to the fourth. And again, you have to remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. Okay? Now, last, we're going to look at this q. So we've got a q to the fourth here, and just a q over here. So again, this is the larger exponent that we're going to try to match. So if we look at this q, we'd have to multiply that by q to the third. Again, whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top, because we can't fundamentally change our problem. If we multiply by q to the third over q to the third, well, this is technically 1, right? Because anything on the top divided by itself, that fraction is equal to 1. So that's why this is okay. That's why we can do this. All right, so now we're just going to go and simplify down our fraction here. So on the top here, we've got 2 times 2, which is 4, times p times r. Now it doesn't really matter the order that you put these in. The books likes to put things first with numbers and then in alphabetical order. So I'm going to do it the way the book does, just so that there's no confusion. Okay, but you could write 4rp, you could write p4r, it doesn't really matter, it's all the same thing. Alright, so and then in the denominator we have this 2 times the 7, which is 14. We've got, sorry, hold on. Sorry about that, my screen decided to pop up on me here. Alright, anyway, so we've got this 2 times the 7, which is 14. Then p times p to the third, which we already know is p to the fourth. Again, that's using the power rule for exponents. P to the first times p to the third. That's the same as p to the 1 plus 3, which is p to the fourth. And again, if you have any questions on that, you need a refresher, it's the power rule for exponents. Okay, and then our q to the fourth stays the same. Okay, and then we do the same thing over here. We've got 3 times s times q to the third. So again, I'm going to write my 3 and then my q, just because that comes first, times s. Again, you can use the multiplication signs or you can not. It doesn't really matter. If you like them, put them in. If you don't, leave them out. I kind of throw them in willy-nilly, so I apologize that I'm not consistent. And then on the denominator, we've got 14. We've got p to the fourth, that stays the same. And then we've got q times q to the third, which is q to the fourth. Okay, so now we have common denominators here, and we can add across on the top. So we've got 4pr plus 3q cubed s all over 14 p to the fourth, q to the fourth. Now, what you would hypothetically ask is, okay, can I combine anything? Can anything cancel out? But in order for anything to cancel, you would have to be able to, for example, we can't divide the 4 and the 14 because we'd have to also divide that 3 by something. So there's nothing that can cancel out here and nothing that can be simplified, so that is our answer. Please let me know if you have any questions.